Hey, what's up, PJ Holics? I'm Paul Pilelli, and today I have the great pleasure and honor of sitting down with the new head coach of Pelita Jaya Basketball, Coach Justin Tatum. Coach, how are you?
Not bad. Thanks for having me, Paul. How you
Thanks for
doing?
joining me, and thanks for your time. And of course, I want to get some, some thoughts
Yeah,
throughout there, especially to help convey some messages to our Pelita Jaya fans or
let's do
PJ
it.
Holics as well. I want to start in your playing days
Yeah,
because obviously in the early 2000s, you were a player. You had a couple of stints in the Dutch Basketball League as
yeah.
well. You played in the USBL. I want to find out a little bit about what are some of the key moments that kind of shaped your career as a basketball player and some defining moments, because we know there were some of them. You helped your team get
Yeah,
promoted to the top tier division in
yeah,
the Dutch Basketball League.
yeah.
You were named an all-star at one point. What are
Yeah.
some of the key moments for you?
It probably started before then in college,
Okay.
when I was able to, start playing for St. Louis University and had some success there when we were able to win a conference championship versus some uh, former NBA players, Kenyon Martin and things like that. So that was, some of my most exciting times when I started to play. And then I was able to play professionally, like you said, overseas in the Holland League. And when I went to my first team, Illawarra, they were in the second division.
That's right.
And we ended up winning that division, and then we moved up to the number one. And I came back to another year and played in that Leeuwarden in Amsterdam and in the Holland league. And it was very competitive. It was fun, and that's kind of where it started my coaching career a little bit because when we had our downtime, I was able to go and coach in a little leagues game or be a part of the leagues that they had going on with the minor kids, and that kind of gave me some drive and admiration to start coaching. But I think that my highlight of some of my basketball playing career myself started when I was in college when we had early success.
Okay, so a lot of people say that prior to playing professionally, it's in the college days or the school days is when you learn the most as a
Yeah,
player,
yeah,
correct?
yeah. It is because that's where the experience comes from.
Okay.
That's where I had a variety of coaches with the head coach and assistant coaches, and then I also had another head coach as well. I had two coaches, head coaches, while I was in college
Hmm.
at St. Louis University. So when I was able to experience that, going through the ups and downs and tribulations of what you're expecting from a new coach and et cetera, and yourself, that's when you really find who you are as a person and as a player, and that will help me transition to the professional in college and et cetera.
Okay, I want to. That's interesting. I'm going to come back to that in a little bit. In the meantime, though, you mentioned that while you were a professional player, there was a specific moment where you found coaching
Hmm.
to be a new thing or your next step, and
Yeah.
you made that transition. So what were some of the moments that you had that made you decide that, hey, this is something that I want to eventually do one day?
Well, when I left the States to go play professionally, as everybody know, I had a young son back at that time, and now he's a lot older. But when I left him at that time, that I knew he was very high in basketball, but I also wanted to try to see where my professional career could take me. And when I was away from him, and like I said, I got into our downtime, our days off, went to the academies around in Holland and got a chance to watch the young peers. And I was even asked to, hey, Justin, can you come just be on the bench and motivate the kids because they see you play in Leeuwarden and they admire you and they'll
Right.
love for you to be on the bench. And my involvement, was intriguing to me. And like most of those kids were my son age at that time, so it gave me a lot of drive to say, hey, I want to get back to start teaching. If I could teach these young kids how to do some of the things, maybe when my career is done, I can go back and teach my son. So that was, kind of like a great spot for me to learn and like, hey, this might be your calling.
That was the
down the road.
defining moment, then, I guess, right?
It
You could
was.
say. So, what is the different feeling that you get when you out of coaching as opposed to being a player? Because it is two different things at the same time. You need a lot of the same skill sets, but it is completely different. What are some of the things that you feel while you coach that makes you motivated as opposed to as a player?
It took a while because I was coaching. When I started coaching, I was coaching as if I was still a player,
Right.
and
Okay.
it was kind of it took me a while to get out of that transition. But when I did start to learn that, like, hey, you can't be both. You can't be animated, or your feelings and everything can't be involved as they were as a player, as a coach, because somebody has to have a calm head. And as the years went on, and I started to develop, and learn myself as a coach. And that was probably one of the things that I had to learn about, the difference between coaching and playing. That I have to be the controller. I have to be the level head guy. I can't react to like my players and the fans or et cetera to every little thing. And I have to manage my team, and I have to be the leader that they expect me to be. So it took a while for me to understand it because, you know, I was a young, fiery player and then, you know, came right into the coaching aspect. And so I had to learn a lot about myself through that time.
I've heard this before where your team and your players actually take on the personality of the coach.
Yes.
So if you set the tone, they'll end up kind of behaving the way you do.
Exactly.
So that's actually true.
It is. It's definitely true, man.
Okay.
Because, I mean, but then there got to be a fine balance because, right. You know, even like I had a meeting with Pelita Jaya today with my team. I was like, you know, I got you guys back no matter what, but you can't sit up there and, you know, act out or show emotions when the
right.
game is on the line or as the game is going. So okay. I love you guys, how you wear your energy and everything on your sleeve and stuff like that, but you guys got to play basketball. And so, you know, just be able to relate that message and understand that still be fiery just like me, but put the ball in the hole.
Right. Okay. So obviously you not only had success as a player, but you ended up successfully making that transition to a coach because prior to coming to Indonesia, you had a historic season with the Illawarra Hawks in the NBL Australia. So tell us a bit about that championship run and what made it so special?
Man, it was unbelievable. It was what made it special was that, you know, in 2023 when I did go down to Australia for the first time, I went as an assistant coach, you know, because my admiration was to come back to St. Louis to coach for St. Louis University where I graduated from. I had no admiration of coaching professional or staying in Australia for as long as I've been so far. But when I was thrown in the fire in November to, you know, take over the team midway through the season, and, you know, because I was the only person that had head coaching experience, you know, that was a time that I was like, hey, JT, you either got to, you know, excuse me, French, but shit or get off the pot, right? You know,
exactly.
you got to figure it on out. So that season when I was able to take over as head coach in the middle of the season and being able to relate to my players as normally I can and be able to get their trust and just, you know, see the success that they worked for, right? But I was just a catapult on it. And then to come back the next season with pretty much 95% of my team, and then, you know, the way they worked, the way we communicated all year, and, you know, I was pretty confident that we were going to have a successful season going into 24-25, but I never knew we was going to dominate like that, you know. And you know, but then the practices, the way we were one game away from being from the grand finals the year before, everybody just had a chip on their shoulder. So that whole season was very memorable for me because it wasn't a fluke season for us, right? We wasn't at the 8th or 9th seed and just happened to get in the playoffs at the last second. We were number 1, number 2 the whole season.
Everyone's gunning for you there.
Everybody's gunning for us. So like just being able to have you know, that feeling, have that control of those guys, and just be able to see the success that they had, man. It was that season was pretty remarkable.
Okay, how big of a role did you as a coach play in this? Because outside of winning the NBL, you were also named Coach of the Year. Yeah. Obviously, everyone felt that you had played a big part in that.
I mean, the credit is there. I get it, you know, but and then people tell me all the time, you did this, you did that. And I was just like, I get it, but not really. These men here, they just believed in the concept that I know that can find a way to get this group to win. Okay. And, you know, they came to work every day and pushed themselves. They came and put extra shots in. They just knew what the blueprint was. And so I felt if I gave direction to those guys like that, and, you know, anything can happen, mostly positive, correct? So, yep, I tipped my hat off to my team when I won the award. I said, I tipped my hat off to my assistant coaches, because those are the reasons why I was able to step up there and represent my team for the Coach of the Year. But I get it, you know, the head coach will get the accolades if you do well.
The record,
right?
Sure.
And then you'll get all the bad stuff if you don't.
That's
do
right. You're the one that goes the first man in line, right?
Exactly.
When they want to blame somebody. But at the same time, I always think it's such a fine balance that you have to, between the two sides. The coach can only say so much and instruct so much, but the players have to believe in the coach as well and actually do and execute what the coach asked them to do.
Yes.
So we throw the word culture around a lot, but I believe it's actually true. When you have a team like that, you have a coaching staff that balances so well with the players, they call it a championship culture. So one could say that you rightfully built that culture, you know, taking over mid-season and then carrying that over to the next season. What does it take to build a championship culture in your mind?
Belief. Everybody has to buy in. Everybody has to buy in, and then you have to understand your role and your strengths. And that's one thing I'm really good at telling people, or considering, to say, hey, if you do this well for us, then A, you'll find some time, B, you'll help us find a way to win games. And then, you know, sometimes egos have to be adjusted, or, you know, bubbles have to be burst. And sometimes it's hard for players to understand that. But I think that the experience that me being a former player, me and understanding that I've coached where my son's success is right now, and the players that I was able to coach prior to being, with the Hawks and Pelita Jaya right now, that those guys understand that he came from somewhere to where we have to listen to him, or we have to at least give him a chance to understand it, because, we want to be champions again, or it's a lot of these guys want to keep propelling their career to go higher. So, everybody wants winners, right? So, we got to find a way to, if our team wins, then everybody wins. And that's the type of message I get across a lot with my players. And, when they do win, a lot of guys see that their success has these, went up a couple notches.
How do you make players and staff build that trust amongst them?
And it's just the way how you got to relate to them.
Okay.
I tell my team and my assistant coaches, this is not a dictatorship with me. I'm not going to come in and demand and tell you everything you do. You have a voice. This is more of a communism. I love to hear what you've been through. I love to hear what you feel that you can contribute to the team. And I feel that if you give people that leash or that trust that they can voice their opinion, no matter if you use it or not, but as long as they can express it, because a lot of assistant coaches and players have great ideas, great, and I don't know it all, and I tell them I don't know it all. So, I love to hear from you, and then if we can come on the same page, go ahead. But I think it's just that relationship that you can build with your ACs and your players, that they feel that, hey, I can go to JT about anything, or I can at least express to him what I'm feeling, even if it's right or wrong, he'll at least hear it or coming about. And then if it's not what it is, at least I told him, let me keep going, play hard for him, or let me keep doing the extra work to make our team better, and we'll go from there. I'm more of a family oriented instead of me bossing everybody around, because I don't think that works much.
Okay, so I think it's a matter of having your voice heard at a certain point, and
Yes.
you feel like you're trusted, and you can give that trust right back as well.
Yeah, because people are putting so much work in, they running lines, or putting shots up, and ACs are going back and doing so much work. But if they I'm just doing this because he told me to, because I might feel this may be different, I can't express it to them, then they might want to do less work or not as great of work that they potentially can. So giving everybody a voice to the point of knowing that I am the final voice, but I love to hear your input.
Okay. So going off that, then, how would you define your coaching philosophy, and how has it changed since the early days of your coaching career?
It hasn't changed much, because my demand is effort, being respectful and professional, and especially right now, if you're a professional athlete, clearly this is your job, you're getting paid for. You're required to do certain things, but coming up prior to then, I was a high school coach for 17, 18 years, and so they weren't getting paid. They would just come to school every day, so that was a different way I had to adjust. But that kind of, that was more about, your grades, respecting family, staying out of detention and things like that. And I think that culture built me to be able to relate to these guys now in some aspects. So my philosophy, man, is just that, show up every day on time, ready to go. Be ready to be able to get your buttons pushed. Make sure you understand it's not personal. And then at the end of the day, what value can you bring to our team, and to what you do well. Don't try to be like, John Doe on this side. Be Tom. Don't be you, because be yourself, because this is what got you signed with Pelita Jaya or the Hawks, or et cetera, et cetera. You might not be able to do what he can do, and I'll find a way to promote you or use you in a way that you were like, I'm feeling used in a good way.
Okay, I think for somebody to be able to stand out for their own attributes and their own qualities will get them noticed as well, right? As opposed to just trying to do what everyone else does as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about Pelita Jaya then. You made a decision to take this role now. What was it about the club and the Indonesian Basketball League that attracted you to take this new role?
Besides the success, the support, that when I did my homework on it, when they reached out to me and it was interested in me coming to coach in the second half of the season, it was tough, because I just came off a brutal 8.5 months with the Hawks, and I haven't been at home yet. But I was like, how can we help each other? And I think that Pelita Jaya really didn't. I was asking, how can I help you, because you guys are so successful right now and had success last year. And then when I talked to administration, they was telling me the things that they felt that need to be tightened up some more, and they felt that my professional usage could be used in that way. And so, it was, and the attraction to me is winning another championship within the 3 months of each other, 3 to 4 months, having an opportunity to win another FIBA championship in a different country, and seeing how the league in Indonesian is played, because that's just helped me be more well-rounded.
Okay. The first thing you mentioned is very interesting because those that are watching right now, the PJ Holics, you did mention the support. There's incredible support, fan base for this team as well. So obviously, those that are watching right now, PJ Holics, are very interested to know. You mentioned Pelita Jaya is currently the reigning IBL champion, but also competing at BCL Asia as well, the Basketball Champions League. So this is a unique situation you find yourself in. There are a few pressure points as well. Being a reigning champion, as you know, everyone's outgunning for you as well. There's actually quite a few teams with good records this season as well. But not only that, being the one team that has to balance a schedule between playing outside of the regular season of the IBL. So first of all, how do you plan on handling some of these pressures and challenges?
I love it. It's nothing to where you can it's handle it to where you have to be detailed and say, hey, I got to do this, I got to do that. It's basketball. It's basketball. It's scheduling, playing against other teams, getting the guys mentally prepared, ready to go and do what they need to do. I love being in two different leagues, having the challenge that we are now. So I don't think it's too much different what we have to do, or some specific that we have to do to get to prepare the guys for. I think it's more exciting to be able to represent in two different leagues and hopefully have a chance to win both.
Okay, good positive mindset. Now, you've had your practice already with the team. Was it your first practice?
Second.
Second practice so far. So, PJ Holics, I want to get your first impressions to them. What was your impression so far with the team first couple times out?
Ton of energy. The guys were very vocal. They started, when I expressed to them, everybody starts on a clean sheet with me. So I felt that if anything you've done last week or a couple months ago that you felt that them person didn't do right, or somebody was judging you off that, I don't know it. This is a clean sheet. So when I walked in practice, the energy was great. The camaraderie was great. What we're working on is, figuring out how we can figure out some certain things that we need to do to become a better team. Free throw percentage, turnovers, defensive transition, et cetera, et cetera. But, it was, when I walked in the gym, everybody was like, hey, Coach, great to see you. Great to have you here. The energy was perfect, man. My two first practices was really good.
Okay. What were some of the early points that you wanted to focus on getting started with the first few practices?
Yeah, which was, us getting better in shape, because I like to score a lot of points. If my team was the top team in NBL, scoring 101, 102 points a game. Right now as PJ, we're at about 86, and I would say that's not enough for me. So I want to be able to have a fast and quicker pace. So we got to get better in shape. And I like to use my whole team. If you don't know, I had the #1 bench scoring in the league, and so I use my bench 8 to 9, 10 players during the course of the whole season. So I related that message to my guys on this team. Say, hey, you want to play? Get in shape. You're going to find an opportunity. So that was probably my main thing, getting everybody into the endurance to where I feel that they can play at the level where I expect them to. Now, it's not going to happen on Sunday or next week or things like that. You'll probably see a really good transition change towards the end of May, early June, because we had much time together and reps and practicing games, and guys got that confidence. And so hopefully we can see some good involvement by then.
Okay, so obviously then you are on the right squad, because Pelita Jaya has quite a deep roster as well. What do you think of the depth of the roster so far?
Yeah, it's good in all aspects. I mean, the imports is really good, and our locals are sharpshooters. They're tough, and they're very communicative, and so it's well-rounded in my opinion. And so that's one thing. That was another reason why I wanted to take on this challenge, because of all the different assets they have, and we can be used. And we're still waiting on 2 guys to come off the injury bug.
That's right.
So we still haven't had our whole team, and I'm excited when they get back.
Okay, so we have short-term goals, which seem pretty clear. Defend the championship. Obviously, there's the BCL as well. But what are your long-term goals in regards to Pelita Jaya Basketball?
I would love to build a relationship with, Pelita Jaya, and maybe a team in the Hawks and the Hawks as well, to where we can kind of collaborate and have players from the Hawks come to PJs and PJs go to the Hawks, et cetera, just to build a relationship, and myself to just to stay on board however I can be used. If it's coaching, or if it's consulting, or whatever the case may be, just to something where I can stay involved in the basketball area.
Okay, I want to circle back to a point that you made earlier on in our conversation in regards to youth talent and development, because you did mention, some of the key moments in your life that even you refer to now later on in life is your early days prior to being professional. And I do believe that there sometimes is a bit of a gap between the youth players and the professionals here. So obviously youth development is something that each club would like to focus more on. So you've coached obviously at various levels as well, at high school level for quite a long time. How do you plan to contribute to developing youth talent in Indonesia? Because that is something that we could certainly use.
Just by showing the drills and having maybe some of the younger programs come into our practice here and there when we can to watch the drills and the skill sets that some of our guys do to hopefully encourage them. Maybe hopefully have a coaches clinic or something, so where if there's inspiring coaches that are around that deal with the youth a lot more to come in and see how we run practices and how to set schedules and things like that to kind of hopefully enhance them to help the youth by the time they get to see where Praz and Brandon and them are, they can kind of have that skill set of that mentality built already. So hopefully that we can get a day or two where we can just invite young groups in to watch the practices and coaches, et cetera, to kind of build that mentality.
So it doesn't feel so far out of reach, like these are these great professional superstars, but actually see the path to get there.
Exactly, and be able to touch and reach and talk to them, right? And myself included. And so this just keep passing them the baton as much as we can, because this is, I don't want to keep any secrets hidden in. If I can know way to develop the next youth or the next coach, somebody helped me the same way, I just pass it along.
Absolutely. Agree. It's a full circle.
It is.
Anyway, lastly, what message do you have for PJ Holics as you begin this exciting new chapter here in Jakarta? Maybe you can address them as well.
PJ Holics, can't wait to be able to get on this floor on Sunday. We're going to have a ton of fun. It's going to be a great season. Our job is to repeat and keep repeating and keep winning championships here. I'm happy to be here. Can't wait to see you at our first home game on the 17th.
All right. Coach, thank you for your time.
Thanks,
so, PJ Holics, a quick reminder, make sure you catch Coach Justin and your Pelita Jaya basketball team on May the 11th as they take on Ran Simba Bogor. Should be a very exciting matchup. My name is Paul Paleli, thanking Coach Justin for your time as well.
Thank you.
And can't wait to see you out there on the court. And we'll see you out there on the court as well. Take care.
Take care. Appreciate it.